Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, January 31st. This is the budget work session with the Board of Supervisors and General Assistants. Supervisor Lisa Heddens here with Supervisor Merkin and Faisal, Director of Internal Operations, Alyssa Wignall, County Auditor, Lucy Martin, Assistant Auditor, Lisa Markley, and Communications Assistant, Bryce Garman, and the Director of General Assistance, Erin Rewerts. So Erin, how we've been starting is going over revenues before moving on to expenditures.
Okay.
You re-estimated that local government payment to 86 this year, but you've told me that that's not an eligible.
She's not an eligible worker.
She's not eligible, so
Right.
I'm going to zero that out, right?
Well, so she has a new financial aid package that would be
Okay.
for next year. She hasn't done. They do their FAFSA
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
And so what I'd like to do is check with the financial aid office again in the fall,
Yeah, right, right,
to see.
right. But I'm going to take the re-estimated 8,600 out.
Yep. Yep.
So you're keeping the 9,000.
Yeah, keeping the 9,000 for next year. And hopefully she'll qualify.
I know. I'm crossing my fingers. It's so nice. Yeah, it's a huge help. I mean, yeah.
Good.
When we lost Carla and so it has made a huge difference. Okay.
And can you pull your mic a little bit closer
Yes.
to Erin? Thank you.
And then, so the other revenue stuff that we have in there is just if we get reimbursed for something.
Sure. Okay.
Which hardly ever happens. Okay. Then, so then I'll start at the vehicle fuels and maintenance, I think. Right? I think that's
Mhm.
my first one.
Mhm.
I don't have anything dramatic to say there. We seem to be doing fine at the $100 for that. Office supplies. I have to tell you, this one's like the hardest one for me. I don't know why. So I thought when I did it this time, I'm like, okay, I get it. I know what's coming out of here. But it's so variable according to like our paper costs went up with the new way that we do general assistance. And honestly, even after 2 years, I think I'm still trying to adjust to that a little bit. We do have pending forms that we get that are triplicate if we are able to assist someone. And between the paper and those, that's $500 alone. So our paper was 300 last year or something. So my actuals, my 3-year average actual on that is about 1,400, but I still keep thinking that it doesn't need to be that much. So depending on how you want to do that. It covers our shredding costs, which we do still share with CICS and Veterans Affairs. So I feel like these are kind of like throwing darts at a dartboard for me again, depending on what happens. So this is where I'm kind of.
Erin, before you go on, I do have
Yes.
one question, and Lisa, maybe you can answer. Where you were just talking back on taking out the 8,600, that re-estimate for the revenue, but I see on 130, oh no, that would be expenditure.
Yeah, so the cost is still there.
So, okay. Yeah, no, I
Just
caught myself. I was thinking I was
Yeah,
looking at
just no
revenue.
reimbursement for that.
Yep, okay, never mind. As soon as I said that, caught what I was questioning. Sorry, you can continue on.
Okay, no problem. Postage and mailing, that's the postage machine lease, which is also shared with CICS and Veterans Affairs. We pay for the ink, obviously, and that kind of thing. And I think where I'm at right now is like 90%. It looks really bad. But as far as I can tell, I'm pretty close to doing what I've done the last couple of years. So I think $1,200 should do it. It matters on when we fill the machine and that kind of thing. So
And the lease is included here and
Yeah.
that's quarterly, so you might have paid, yeah.
And we do that based on usage too. So,
So when you use your copiers, for example, is there a code put in?
yes,
So it's already,
postage meter, copier, yes.
everything separates out right
Mm.
away. Okay.
Yep. Employee mileage and expenses. I remember last year distinctly, you're like, Erin, you don't think you're gonna spend more than 50 times? I just remember you asking me that. But yeah, so how this works is we have the one car. And for some reason, it constantly conflicts when Brett wants to use it on Wednesdays for his outreach, which is typically when we have the county trainings, which is about the only time my general assistance staff use the cars. So we are using it a little bit more than I had predicted. And that's even with Wendy and I who live here in Nevada and don't, we start here or end here on those, but so yeah, 150 in there, I think. Communication services, this is yearly fee for phones, staff lines and that kind of thing. This one could probably be a little less. I think what I put, just a second here, let me catch up on my ruler. Yeah, so I'm in pretty good shape. I'm like only used 38% there. So I think I may have gone a little bit above what I need to. Addie's phone is added into there as well, but I'm thinking I could go 2,000 on that, even though I've got 2,200 in there for next year.
Thank you.
Education and training, I put 450 in there again. I like to have that just in case somebody finds, a training or something. I mean, you guys do such a good job for, for employees and stuff like that. But, I kind of figure with 4 of us, even if we went to one and they're, sometimes they're $100 or, whatever. So I've got that in there for that. Equipment rent and maintenance. This is our copier cost, and we only share that with Veterans Affairs because the ICS has their own. And then we get into the placeholders we've got here for the medical care, hospital care, prescriptions, and food and provisions. I think, as you can see, we haven't done anything out of there for a really long time. The reason they're still there is because we still have them in our manual as being able to help if someone would absolutely, exhaust all their other resources, including Medicaid, including, that kind of thing. So that's why it's pretty much not been used. Rent payments. So I had a little typo there. Needs to be November 30th of 2023. I think it says 2022. We've been pretty consistent the last couple of years with what we've spent in this. And I get nervous because it starts to look like it's all going to go, away. But I think even on this one, on a re-estimation, we could go probably 60,000. Because last year we expended 57. And then maybe even, as far as projecting for next year, I think 60 or 62. I don't know. I'm looking for a little feedback there.
Should we just set it at 60 since you did 57 last year?
I think so, because
Okay.
we've re-estimated it up, every time at least last few years I've come in here and we never reach it. So I think it's.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate you doing that, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I had to relook at it again, but
Yeah.
yes, yep. So, the other thing that I'd like to do is that last sentence there, which is another 2% increase to the income limits. And I'll tell you a little bit about them here in a second. And then increase our resource limit to 150. And that's about as far as I'm probably going to go on the resource limit for the near future anyway. That's basically what somebody can have in their coffers, you know, when they come in as far as like savings or checking or something like that. And as long as they're below 150, they still could be eligible for us. 150 isn't a whole lot of money to have extra. And typically it's just sitting there because they have to pay a bill and they haven't done it yet. So
What did you say you're re-estimating?
for the income limits?
No, no.
Oh, 150. Oh, re-estimating.
Yeah, from
60,000.
60. Okay.
60 for the current year and 60 for next year is what we're
Yep.
gonna put in
Okay.
the budget.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just missed it when we were talking.
So I kind of looked it up. Sandra asked me a lot of times about our over income. So we do keep track of, you know, denials and things like that for people. I do not keep track of how much they are over income. You know, I mean, common sense would tell you if they're like $10 over income, we, you know, at times may make an exception, but most of the time not. But so people are clearly usually way over that. That hardly ever happens that they're that close. But like in October, 57% of our denials were over income, only reason, because we keep track of every reason, because sometimes people are denied for 4 reasons. And then November was 56%, and then December was 49. So I think if we, you know, increase those income limits a little bit, we'll get a little bit closer to maybe where we need to be, because that's a lot of people to turn down for the one reason, I think. It's 50% of the people that come in, you know, so we'll see.
Karen, is that percentage increase or that resource limit amount as well? Are you gonna have to come before the board for?
No,
No,
'cause we
okay.
finally fixed that.
Okay,
Thank goodness. Okay, utilities payments. We did pretty well there last year. We spent, oh, I can't remember, it was for the
That's
first,
an interesting line item because the 2 years before that, you were at 14 and 2,500 and then last year 4,900.
I know.
But this year you're on track to be, you know, 4. I don't know. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I assume it depends on the number of,
It depends on the number. We've stayed pretty consistent, you know, with applicants and things like that. I think it just has to do with whether or not we can only pay current charges.
yeah.
So current charges tend to be somewhat reasonable.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's why. Funeral services. So we have not given the funeral homes an increase for several years, maybe close to 5. We've been paying 2,033. And so I spelled propose wrong, but that's what I'm trying to do. Maybe
I read it correct, though.
yeah, right. Your brain did it right. A 2% increase there that would get us to 2,075 for. We're still on the upper
That's
tier
what I was
of
gonna say. There's
Iowa
a
for
lot-
reimbursement.
There's a lot of counties that don't do anything or
Mhm.
very little.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
And then some will do reimbursement, but they'll only do it for cremations. Right? And yeah,
there's-
and some of them are down around the $500 range. I mean, it really varies across the state.
I want to say at one point in time, I heard the Boone and Marshall, neither one had any.
So Boone is
assistance.
1,500. I
Oh,
did
is it?
check on that this week. I had another situation, so I did, yeah. But so it really doesn't skew my numbers a whole lot for what I've, you know, asked for over the past few years. But you know, we're on target to probably do the around 17 or 18 funerals again. I mean, it just depends on what happens, but. Okay. And I think, so I did make myself a little note here. that we probably could on the re-estimation for this year, we could probably, I feel like we could probably leave it at 32, 32,530, I think.
You have a re-estimate for 24 at 34,570.
Right.
34,570, yeah. So, but I budgeted 32,530, so that's,
No,
I'm
but,
thinking we can
Yes.
Yeah.
leave it at the. Mhm.
oh, yes, okay.
You're saying leave the reestimate at 32,530,
Yep,
and what about 25 then?
Well,
That's the
that she wants to
increase,
show
isn't
an
it?
increase.
yep.
That's what the increase,
Give an
okay.
increase to the,
Okay,
So the 35,275 for 25 gives us enough for 17 if we pay full price. Which we don't always do because some people have resources in that, so.
yeah, it's an up to $2,075 is what she's proposing,
Correct.
not every funeral is gonna be $2,075.
Okay, management services. This is, funds for transient individuals for bus tickets. Or a gas voucher if they've got a car. And, then we also have our language line, our interpreter service, in this line. Both unpredictable expenses. We did actually do our first bus ticket in 2 years,
Wow.
Yeah, really?
last week. Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, so now there'll probably be 2 more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
That you spoke.
I know, right? Yeah. So I think we're fine there. Okay. So substance abuse, budget here down. So these first two, the hospital care and the inpatient hospitals, those are also, placeholders. And we haven't spent anything out of those in the entirety that I've known. So a long time. These last two, the transportation and the court-appointed counsel. I have what do I have? $120 left or something? I don't have much.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. For transportation.
yeah, I've almost spent it all. The average cost for a transportation to say from Mary Greeley to the nearest inpatient chemical treatment is $450. They're bringing so we use CIJDC. They pay their transporter from their home to Mary Greeley to the chemical treatment to back to their home. Sometimes the home is Ankeny, things like that. So it is always $450 or a little more.
So do you need to re-estimate your transportation? Since
So-
you said you've about expended it all?
She
Huh?
she re-estimated that up to 3,500 for the current year.
I guess I was wondering, have you already spent close to that, the 3,500?
No, I've spent
No.
close to the 2.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yep. So I'm just kind of banking. I might have 3 more trips to pay
No,
for.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, and then I don't know what next year brings. So I don't know if we want to put that at, I mean, I did put 3,600, but we can do 2,000 like normal and then see what happens. I don't know what you would like to do there. Because I could pay for 2 next year, it just depends.
So this is one of those places in the budget where these 4 line items that she's talking about right now are all out of the supplemental fund. And that's because they can be, and the code says we can do them out of the supplemental fund. Okay, so these are things that are allowed to be levied for in the supplemental. I don't know if that helps your decision at all, but we're gonna spend, if it looks like we're gonna spend 3,500 this year, it makes sense to me to go ahead and budget that for next year.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do 3,500. I think I put 36, but let's do 35. For
So
next
do
year.
35
Yeah,
for,
we'll go 35 across the board.
okay,
Okay.
so you can drop that 1,000 as or
100.
100, yes.
Court appointed counsel, I think I've got, according to my calculations, which I'm sure yours are better than mine, Lisa, but I've got like 700 and some left in there. I do have one sitting on my desk for 260. So that would leave me with 500 and some left for this year out of the 2,000. These are hard because they're not always very promptly billed.
I'm gonna compare them to something we'll talk about when we get to countywide. This is court appointed for substance abuse. In countywide services, we have one court appointed for guardianships. It is whacked way up. It's like 1,000. I think we spent 2,000 more than we budgeted and have spent for the last, I don't know how many years. So it is incredible how much the court appointed is costing to, in my little pea brain.
So you want to leave it at the 2,000 then?
So you've got more claims.
I've got like a $260 one sitting on my desk that I have. that was-
I win because I have a $780 guardianship sitting on my desk that I just got.
I know, because it came to me yesterday.
Oh.
And I was like, what am I? You know,
Well, it's a situation in which we're gonna pay what we're gonna pay.
Right.
I mean, there's no control here about we have no control over how that's gonna play out. So do we want to err on the side of caution and increase it?
I mean, even if you went to 3, that would probably be
For next
a
year?
little bit more cushy.
Or, yeah, okay.
Uh-huh.
I
Not in
mean,
the bad sense. I mean, just in the safe sense.
3,000.
we're gonna pay it no matter what.
Yep.
And I guess I'd rather go into the budget having a little bit of confidence that not that I want to spend 3,000, but it could happen.
Mhm.
And we're talking court appointed counsel right
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Up to 3. Okay.
Yeah, and we can do that for the re-estimation too, right, for this year?
If you need to.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, questions for me?
I don't, but it looks like that would be a reduction of about 4,300 total.
Yep.
So I have a note, from the other day. What my notes? Microsoft Office licensing in IT budget, ? Page 153.
You
have separate Microsoft Office.
You don't have anything separate, do you? I am,
So, no.
Latifah, I'm 99% sure that
Just didn't get taken out.
it didn't get taken out. It was mental health.
Oh, you thought, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I worked for years to get the mental health portion of IT to come out of the right place, mental health.
Mhm.
Well, then when that all went away, I worked as hard as I could to get him to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And it just never got stopped.
Okay.
So I am convinced from looking at the IT budget that all of Aaron's licensing is where it needs to be,
Okay.
and that just never got removed.
Okay.
Are you using virtual for your?
Yep.
158. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remove it.
What page was that on again? Oh, there it is. Yes. Yep, I see it. Okay. Is there anything else?
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.
Thanks.